Welcome back to Record-ology, coming to you from my upscale echoey kitchen. And if you know what that's from, you've been reading the comments. So, today is the first step forward and the first bit of phase 2 of Record-ology. So what we're going to do is a little bit different than what we've done before going forward. So, let me tell you a little bit about it before we get into today's show. So, we are going to be doing one big show a week. That's this show. It's called Record-ology Deluxe, and we are going to be doing like the, product reviews, the more in-depth, highly produced show that you're used to, and hopefully, and then some. And then throughout the week, if I'm crate digging or I'm out in the field or I have something kind of informal to show you, I will just upload those, on the go, and they won't be fully produced. It'll just be a clip. No graphics or anything like that, and that'll be called Record-ology Express. And to top it off, we're going to do something very special every week, but in order to find out what that is, you're going to have to wait till the end of today's show. So, big show on the weekends, which is Record-ology Deluxe. That's this show. Little show in the middle of the week, Record-ology Express. And then the big surprise we're going to be doing weekly going forward. But today and now, we are here to talk about what is in your crate. You're not going to want to miss this.
Welcome to Record-ology.
Today's show is going to be about what's in your crate. This is by popular demand. People have asked me, what do you collect, Record-ology? What is in your crate? What is it that you're looking for? We've seen a lot of Glenn Miller, we've seen a lot of things, but what is it that you're into? So today's show, I'm going to be opening up the vaults of Record-ology, and I am going to be sharing with you some of what I collect, some of my favorite pieces, but I'm not going to give it all away because, I've got to have more content in the future. I don't want to show you everything that I have. So I'm going to touch on kind of the main areas that I collect in. I don't have a huge collection by design. I don't have, thousands of records. I have a handful of crates about this size, and it's constantly changing out. If I have something that doesn't have any sentimental value and I trade it in, get something else, it's a living, breathing collection, and it's just fun. It's archaeology. These are some of the things I've collected, so check this out. Okay guys, so I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain. This is a peek in the vaults of Record-ology, and I say that tongue-in-cheek because it's just a few crates. It's nothing that crazy. I acquired almost all of this for $1 or the free bin. Maybe 5 records I paid like, anything more than like $3, $4, $5. So with time, you can find these same treasures as well. So I'm going to show you a couple examples from various genres or various types of records I look for. So we're going to go through this pretty quick. All right, I'm always looking for records like this that are like demo records to show off technology, records that have interesting artwork on it. I'm always looking for records that are specific to Denver, that are local, things that you can't find elsewhere. I've got some interesting stuff from the Trocadero Ballroom at Elitch's we reviewed. I'm always looking for odd formats. This is a 12-inch 45 RPM record, so it's a 12-inch single, which I thought was a really cool thing, so I added that to the collection. I'm looking for famous albums, even if they're in rough condition. This was in the free bin. Miles Davis, Kinda Blue, famous album, terrible condition. Might make a project out of cleaning it up and trying to get it play-worthy, but right now, it's cool to have a copy of it. So I collect classical records for 2 reasons. One is they're often found in the free bin because they're not as commercially successful as pop music, and therefore they're not quite as collectible to most people. However, I think they're the best thing to really demo a new sound system. Plus, I like classical music, so I'm always looking for those. And plus, they're neat to collect because they come from all over the world, like these Deutsche Grammophon records, a lot of overseas stuff. So always looking for good classical music. You guys know by now I'm always looking for Christmas music. This is one my son gave me for my birthday. Just a beautiful, beautiful record. That is 180 gram vinyl. Always looking for those too, those vinyl audiophile pressings. More Christmas music, very nostalgic. So I'm looking for things, that are meaningful to me specifically, that I have, some sort of history with. I'm always looking for Elvis records. So I have a few of these, probably 10 or less Elvis records. And I have a couple copies of this, so yeah, definitely looking for Elvis. Frank Sinatra, this is my only Frank Sinatra LP. I do have some 45s, but this is the new one we reviewed that came out a couple of months ago, back in October, I think it was, and just a beautiful remaster. This is one of my new records, and so yeah, Frank Sinatra, always looking for that. Other Rat Pack albums, this is Sammy Davis Jr. I love these gatefold records, they're really cool too. So definitely always on the lookout for those. Chet Atkins. We had a friend of the family who was a guitar picker and collected a lot of these Chet Atkins records that you see. I actually really like them. They're pressed on like paper thin 70s era RCA vinyl, which I've actually grown to like. I actually kind of like it now. But yeah, a lot of Chet Atkins. I also love Chet Atkins. I got into his music a few years ago. Walt Disney. I love Walt Disney, and I'm always looking for Walt Disney records. So every once in a while I come across some Disney product, and again, even if it's not the highest quality physically, I'll still go for it. Continuing on here, I'm always looking for Broadway music. My wife has a background in Broadway production and direction, and I really enjoy some of this stuff, and I collect it for both of us to enjoy. Again, more Disney stuff, especially if I can find anything that's related to the parks or the rides. This has a little bit of a tie-in to the Haunted Mansion ride, so that's cool. Okay, Glenn Miller. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of Glenn Miller guys, and here's the backstory in 20 words or less. So, when I was in high school, I was into, popular music. I was into metal, I was into rap, and I could notice that I wasn't as happy as I had used to be with surrounding myself with negative music. And so one day I forklifted all of my rock and rap and took it all and donated it and started over again with big band music from the 40s and 30s, just so I'd have something that's completely clean, completely positive, and it made such a positive impact in my life at that time that I've grown to really love Glenn Miller's music. And that's a little bit of the backstory on that. And that spilled over into other big band stuff. You remember we picked this up at the World War II Festival last year, and stay tuned for more on that, by the way. Just a wonderful Tommy Dorsey record here. I love big band music. I like this one, these Ray Anthony or others that came out of the Glenn Miller or big band era that went solo, and I love these sort of late 50s era Capitol record covers. A lot of times I'll just get records for the art alone. Like, I don't think I've even listened to this, but the artwork is just so incredible. Another Tommy Dorsey one, cool art, and I like Tommy Dorsey as well. I do collect shellac records, 78s. This is a 12-inch shellac. I love the artwork on the paper sleeves. I like the music as well. These 12-inch ones are typically classical, while the 7-inch ones are typically jazz or pop music. And I try to collect very old records as well. I apologize, guys, for how I'm holding this. It's hard to do with the camera. But yeah, so these are 100-year-old records, some of them. Some old Brunswick ones. I love the labels on some of these 78s. Just absolutely beautiful. Fun to collect. You're probably not going to find two of any of these, in the wild, as it were. So it's really like, this is the true archaeology aspect, is finding these old, 100-year-old acoustic recordings and just listening to them for what they are. So always looking for that kind of stuff. Collecting 78s in general. I have a pretty large 78 collection. Takes up a good part of a crate. Of 78s, I'm really looking for unique labels like this one that has a War Bond edition there. And I love the advertising on these, and just fascinating. We did a whole show just on the labels and the sleeves. So Glenn Miller 78s are primo to me. Definitely love those. Okay, continuing on here, I do try to find popular music, modern music as well. As you can tell, it's not my absolute favorite, but the rest of my family really likes more popular music, so I do try to pick these up where I can. They also are really good for demos and stuff. When I'm doing show or product demos, people really like to hear modern music. I like to look for odd records. This is that weird Russian record we found. It was I paid like $1. It's got this really nasty warp in it, but it was still fun to listen to. And I really liked all that I learned from you guys. You guys told me all about this record, which is super cool. Here's another one that has a tie-in personally. So this is something that was important to my wife. I believe she had this when she was a little girl. So it was cool to collect something that, you know, had some sentimental value. I'm also looking for cool box sets. This is a From the Earth to the Moon Time Life box set with, you know, these really cool flaps they would put on these box sets. And I've got a couple different box sets like these, a few different ones. And those are neat to collect. I love the 78 albums. These, I think both of these actually, yeah. So this Louis Armstrong and this Bing Crosby one, I got these years ago, long before I was into vinyl. And I just thought they were cool from a historical aspect. But now that, you know, I'm into record collecting and enjoying record players and stuff, you know, these have obviously have an additional value to me, but the artwork is awesome. They're really good historic pieces, and I like the music as well. So digging deeper into the vault, I'm also looking for odd formats, like I said before. So this is a Polkas by Jimmy Dorsey. It's a 7-inch, no, this is a 10-inch vinyl record. Again, kind of an odd format. You know, if I see anything like this that I think might make a potentially good show idea, I'll definitely pick those up. Glenn Miller, always looking for those. Another thing you'll see down here that this says Camden. So RCA did a bunch of re-releases on Camden of music. It's kind of like their great value brand record label. And you're able to pick up some really interesting titles on this Camden series. They were doing that for quite a spell. Another Glenn Miller record here. This is a new Glenn Miller orchestra. I just picked this up. I think this is $1. Yeah, I just picked this up the other day. This is at a thrift store. And again, I like the artwork. I love the music. For me personally, Glenn Miller's one of my favorites. So I've got a lot of Glenn Miller records. I really do. You know, not a ridiculous amount, but I've got quite a few. Box sets. This is another one I got recently for a birthday. So it's got the cool fold down with all the different records in there. And I apologize for this angle, it isn't great, but all the individual records there make out this great band era set. And I also collect 45s as well. I like to find 45s that have the original sleeve on them. Again, I think the artwork is really cool. It's obviously good to protect your records. I've got a lot of 45s from two main sources. So I don't typically buy or pick these ones up or find them in the wild. But grandmother on my wife's side ran a business locally in Colorado managing jukeboxes in various pool halls and bars and stuff. And so we have a big collection of records from those jukeboxes. And then also my dad was a DJ back in the day, and I have a bunch of 45s from him as well. So most of the 45s are hand-me-downs, but there are some exceptions. Also, another odd format here, a 7-inch disc with a that's only a 33 RPM record. You know, I love my flexi discs, my sound sheets, whatever you call them. I just think they're neat. Historical value. The fact you can get sound, that there's mechanical sound information on flexible sheets like this, I just think is super cool. I love my 45 box sets. You know, again, these are albums done in a different way. Back when the LP format was competing with the 45, we've covered that history as well. But I love these. I love the artwork. I love the records. I've got several of these. And I'm going to end it on this box set right here, which is Glenn Miller, of course. Somehow I've managed to end up with like 3 or 4 copies of this first edition. I would love, or volume 1, I should say. I really would love to find volume 2. It's out there, but apparently not as prevalent. But I've got 3 different varieties of this. And, you know, in the comments below, you know, you can add to this or, you know, suggest anything. I want to hear what you guys have, what you guys want. But once in a while I get a comment like, you know, don't you want to give up, you know, eating and, you know, paying your bills so you can buy a pristine record? And my answer is no. These are cool, they're fun, but, you know, I don't plan on handing any of these down to my kids. I get that question a lot. I plan on enjoying these. If they want them, they're more than welcome to have them at any time. I just don't anticipate that coming. I don't want to push that on them. So really, these are just fun distractions for this period of time. But all that to say this, somehow I've ended up with 3 or 4 copies of this box set. Not because, you know, I wanted to get all these different versions, but I kept coming across it for $5 and I couldn't resist. And I got this really weird edition with the pink record, so I thought that was kind of cool. All right, enough of that. What do you guys collect? Tell me down in the comments below. I really want to hear about it. All right, guys, there it is. I hope that you enjoyed that, a little peek behind the curtain, a little look through the Record-ology vaults. As I promised at the beginning of the show, I want to introduce to you a very fun aspect of the Record-ology show going forward. Starting this coming week, on Thursday or Friday or thereabouts, I'm going to be putting up a poll. Now this poll is going to show up in your feed. And then if you go to the regular Record-ology YouTube page, I think you can also find it under the community tab. But basically what this is it's going to be a poll weekly where you, the audience, get to decide some aspect of the next show. Now, it can be anything from, do you guys want to do a record player review or crate digging this week? And you kind of get to steer the show. And so I want you to feel involved, and this is part of the way we're going to do it. So look out for that poll Thursday and Fridays. Participate, and it could be something as silly as, you know, do I wear, you know, a blue shirt or a red shirt? Or, you know, if we have some control over the content that week, something like, do you want to do this show or that show? Because I really want to do this for you guys. And in addition to me just having the show and tell, which is, you know, an aspect of it too, I want to know what you want. So let me know in the comments, and I'll be in the comments throughout the week as always. But definitely look out for that poll that'll be coming to you weekly. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Look out for Record-ology Express during the week, and then next weekend, Record-ology Deluxe. And that is all for today. So happy record hunting. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching Record-ology. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss a single thing.
I am the Edison phonograph. The more you become acquainted with me, the better you will like me. Ask the dealer.